What's up everyone, it is Dylan from Class 1A bringing you another My Hero Academia chapter breakdown. This week we have chapter 353, Endeavor. And I just want to call out this cover here because it is absolutely fire. I mean, Shoto is looking incredible here. But another reason why it's so cool is because it's actually a callback to Volume 5 where we saw Shoto in a similar pose but much powered down, not being able to use his quirk. So the fact that he was able to defeat Dabi, come into his own and understand who he is and what his quirk is all about is shown here, and it is so cool. But let's just jump into the chapter. Back in the ruins of Kamino, we see Shoto over defeated Dabi. Thank God Burning made it out alive. Crisis averted. As All Might gets word of the victory, he begins to spread the news to all the heroes. And we really see the anguish in All Might's eyes right here. He's just completely hurt and he's really feeling the stress and also relief of this. I mean, stress from the fact that he is sending all these kids out essentially to fight the nastiest villains in all of history, and also the relief that some of them are winning. One of the first groups to hear this news is Mina's, whose group is at the ruins of Jakku Hospital where they're keeping Makia. And we finally get to meet the person that killed Midnight, and I think his name is Gashly because we see before there's a reference to a couple of assassins here. We meet one of them a little bit later in this chapter, so this one has to be Gashly. And this fight is really important for two different reasons. So one, it's important because Gashly is the one who killed Midnight, of course, and Mina and Kirishima were one of the first people that actually discovered Midnight. I mean, they ran across her mangled, bloody corpse. Like, they're going to be traumatized for this, so of course they're going to be the ones that want to get revenge. And number two, because Gigamakia is here as well, and that was basically the entire start to Mina and Kirishima's herodom. Mina the one being able to actually stand up against him when they were in high school to make sure that they went away and left all her friends alone. And Kirishima, the one who couldn't stand up to Makia and was powerless against him and held that grudge ever since. So this fight is going to be incredible and there's a lot at stake here. Next, we see Ufakam and Aoyama are up against Kunieda, one of AFO's assassins that Deku never ran into, and they are out for Aoyama. So in this, Kunieda brings up the fact that Aoyama is much like the bat of Aesop. So a quick summarization of what this is, essentially it's one of Aesop's fables of the bat and the weasel. So a weasel runs into a bat and goes, "Hey, you're a mouse, I'm gonna eat you," and the bat says, "No, I'm not a mouse, look at me, I'm clearly a bird," and he leaves him alone. And then he goes into another weasel's nest and the weasel says, "Hey, you're a bird, I'm gonna eat you, I hate birds," and he goes, No, look at me, I'm clearly a mouse, why would you eat me?" And so the whole point of this is that the bat is like constantly changing like allegiances a little bit. And I think that's what they're going at for Aoyama, thinking he is constantly shifting back and forth and they're going to stop him. But the reason why he says thank you at the very end here is because he wants to prove that's not who he is. He wants to prove he really is a hero and he's going to stand with the heroes even to the end. So I'm excited to see what Kunieda's quirk is because we see all these flowers blooming all over the place and we know AFO's assassins are incredibly deadly. And then we finally see what Spinner's been up to this whole time. Him, in a giant form, is leading a charge to get Kurogiri back. He seems to have gotten his gift from AFO, one that Dabi refused. And so I'm so interested in Dabi right now, seeing how he interacted with the League of Villains and AFO and all of them, because he refused this. He didn't want anything to do with this like quirk enhancement. He wanted to do it on his own. And he's been doing this the whole time. He's always been the wild card. He's always been doing his own thing. He's kind of just latching on to them just to get back at Endeavor and all of the Todoroki family. And also just poor Spinner, he's like clearly not strong enough to go up against any of the heroes on his own, so they have to supercharge him and make him literally a giant kaiju to fight the heroes. Back in the ruins of Kamino, Ida and Shoto share a moment, and then we see that Dabi is still alive. Shoto didn't quite kill him. And I think we're going to get something big off of this. I don't think this is like Dabi's alive, we're going to bring him in for questioning or anything like that. I think there's two main options that happen here. So one, he has the Lady Nagant bomb in him and he's going to explode and kill a couple people on his way out. Maybe Ida. Or number two, we're going to see another part of his quirk. Something has to deal with regeneration. Because I don't think Dabi is out for the count here. I think there's more to his quirk, something Phoenix-like that we're going to see pretty soon. We end the chapter when the final bit of news hits Gunga Mountain, where AFO takes no pause to start using this against Endeavor, beginning the mind game battle. And I think the fight between Endeavor and All For One is going to be incredibly interesting because it's going to be a fight on two different fronts. One, just power against power. I mean, we have the #1 hero in Japan versus All For One, who is completely quirked up. So incredibly interesting fight there on the power front, but also it's going to be about acceptance. Endeavor is going to have to get over his family trauma. He's going to have to accept what he has done to his family and how he's going to move past it before he's able to defeat All For One. So from here, we see 4 different paths we can possibly go down that we need to clear up before we go anywhere else. I mean, we have a ton of different directions, but here's the 4 imminent ones. So 1, what's going on with Dabi? Why is his chest lighting up? What's this regeneration thing? Number 2, we got Gashly versus Kirishima and Mina. Number 3, we got Kuneta versus Aoyama and Facum. And number 4, of course, we have AFO versus Endeavor and Hawks. And of course, this isn't counting the 2 other ones of Uraraka and Toga, and of course, Shigaraki at UA. Just because we're keeping a strong theme of Todorokis right now, I think we're going to finish up with whatever's going on with Dabi and Shoto, and of course, AFO versus Endeavor. I don't think Endeavor versus AFO is like the final fight with AFO. I think he's going to survive on past that, and it's going to be wrapped up later with Deku, but I think this is kind of what's going to be happening now, because we have a theme of finishing up keeping up with the Todorokis, because we got to get rid of the family drama before we can move on. And so I know the series technically is in its final arc, but we have so much left to go still. So many threads undone, so many fights that we still have to go through, things to be revealed, and it is so incredibly hype. But what is the fight that you want to see the most coming up next? There's a ton to pick from, and it is so incredibly exciting. But with that, I will see you all next class.